Welcome.
Welcome.
Welcome back for another episode of Flirting and Farting with the Shalas. I am LaBianca.
And I am Shakim.
And this episode, we will be discussing business, babies, networking, the whole shebang for those.
Legacy.
Yes. For those couples who are considering going into business with each other or navigating and working business with each other.
While having children.
Yes. What our journey looks like doing so. We are both entrepreneurs at heart, creatives at heart. I think when you're a creative, it automatically comes with the territory.
What do you do?
I am a spoken word artist and a self-published author. I also teach different self-love, self-care experiences as well. And my husband is an amazing painter who is cultivating his craft and skill to be one of the greats.
And I'm also interested or working towards getting into film as well. And I also am a photographer.
Yes. But outside of that, we also have other business endeavors that we are pursuing and have spoken about just to make sure our family is well established, to make sure that we have the time we want with our children and with each other and by ourselves. And that comes along with a lot.
It's chaotic.
Learning.
It's chaotic.
A lot of networking, making sure we have sitters, making sure we can get out or taking turns networking. I know I've gone to some networking events where dad stayed home so I can get out and shake hands with people, get to know some folks, and times where we had to get babysitters for these things, or even cultivating relationships online or community online and really leaning into those platforms to make sure we had what we needed and to make sure they in long term have what they need. And with business, one of the things I'm learning is when to turn it off. So for me, I have ideas come around the clock. So I'm always ready to share, always wanting to talk. And I'm learning that is not the case for Shakim.
I compartmentalize things. So whenever it's time for us to just be us, like just relax, chill, that's all I want to do. But there have been instances where, babe would give me a new idea, or she has a new idea that she wants to like take off and run on. And a lot of the times I'll listen, but at the same time, I'm like, not the moment. So we had to learn how to schedule in time to talk about that. Usually our Sunday afternoon meetings are, that's
meetings.
Business meetings are what we sit down, discuss, how the week went.
And we are still working on getting good at making sure we do those.
Yeah, because the purpose of those for us is to talk about our week, whether, good or bad, and what occurred in that week and what we learned from the week. But then also going into, okay, what do we have coming up, and calendarizing all of those things, and sometimes calendarizing those conversations, like when we want to talk business and ideas and go and shoot for the stars, there's time for that. But I also think, being married with 2 kids, you need to have time for you guys, and that's super important for me. Like, quality time is my love language, so whenever it was just me and her, I just wanted to be me and her and talking about how much we're enjoying each other's time, getting to know each other more than what we already know. I know you said that we have a schedule on, like, having sitters and all that. What does that look like for people where, don't have family members? Because I know we've used family members a couple of times, but they aren't as reliable as we have other friends that their parents can take them anytime they, are available. But what would you say to those that were kind of in our situation, didn't have the reliability on the family side, but had to like outsource?
That's where the networking comes into play. And it is by no means easy whatsoever. Because building a business, you need that time to be out and to cultivate relationships, to get yourself known. So you can't take your kids and do that a lot of the time.
Some people frown on that, unfortunately.
So we did have to recently start vetting new people. And by means, all means, for me, it was the scariest thing that I had to do was trusting people we don't really necessarily know or have background with our children. Right now we have one young lady who's a high schooler. Yes, it's okay. Leave it alone.
Leave it alone, Mama.
Yes, I know it's on your eat, baby. It's okay. It's okay, sweetie pie. It's okay.
What do you want, man?
This is why they don't allow babies in networking spaces.
Yes. Very distracting.
But we sat down and we vetted the young lady with her mom, and we now have a new sitter for that. So it's really just getting out, meeting people. And we did that by leaning into our community that we're building, a marriage community here in Charlotte, and just putting it out there, seeing who had background, who had interest in watching children, and getting the references, like doing your due diligence to be able to have sound mind and body. So when you are away and building a business and being at meetings and conferences, that you have that in place. When it comes to building a business as a couple,
this is where you have to lean on each other's strengths.
yes.
I know with me, I'm very laid back. I'm very focused, and I'm very analytical. My wife, she's very outgoing. She's very like spontaneous when it comes to like just jumping into a project or whatever have you. Like, you have to learn each other's strengths, and my strength isn't jumping in and like, no, we need to plan out, like, what does that look like?
Just being creative in general. And I've learned from you as far as like, I know if I'm going to come with a plan, pretty much have to do my due diligence to have like step by step my bases covered. So this is what we're going to do. This is why we're doing it. This is what it does in the long term. This is how much it's going to cost us. Like, everything being covered and really learning how to learn from each other, because that wasn't my strength. I have the idea. I'm ready to go. But with you more so need to know like the details, the step-by-step type thing. So it's helped me along those lines as far as getting everything spelled out, knowing from A to Z what's going to happen and what could possibly happen. And I think another thing that's important with building businesses is also finding people that have done it or have the results you want. That's one thing that helped us tremendously, is when building one business, getting surrounded by so many leaders that we were immersed all the time, reading, learning, listening, to where now we can duplicate that moving forward, no matter what we're doing. So that's the importance of networking. That's the importance of learning from one another, but also learning from others,
Right.
other married couples.
That's real wisdom.
Who's done it together. Learning when to turn it off for me, and trusting and leaning into your network.
Right. And I think I've heard someone say, like, you are exactly like your closest 5 friends. You have the same traits as the closest 5 friends of yours. Like, in an instance, if you got a friend that does bad business, that rips people off and all that, then in essence, you probably have something in your essence that does the same thing. So it's really learning how to identify the right people, like-minded people, and people that are heading in a similar direction that you're heading in, because you may not always there may not be somebody that wants to be financially independent. They just want to, be around great relationships, have a good steady income, and and a good family. That's it. But and finding those people that want that will just want a steady, income and all that. We lean more into people that want the same, somewhat similar lifestyle that we want, that want freedom of time and money. So that's my thoughts though. But how do you think we've grown as entrepreneurs while navigating being parents and marriage and all that comes with that?
We mentioned it in previous episodes, but more so, really, really, really advocating and leaning into calendar planning and sharing the calendar, because it's one thing to plan, but if he doesn't know what's on the agenda, then and then he schedules something on top of it, that is
Right.
not gonna be
Right.
doable or feasible, and is gonna be a conflict and clash. So we have a calendar that we actually share, that, and then we also have a physical calendar behind us. So we write it and we put it in the phone, so that we know what's going on. And it's been very beneficial to making sure we're productive with our time, good stewards of our time. So I definitely think, as far as our calendar planning go, that's a place where we've grown tremendously. Because before, but with kids, we could really do whatever we wanted when we wanted. But with our babies, we really have to be more careful with what we're planning, when we're planning, because we need time with them, they need time with us, but we
Right.
also need to be building something for them and us as well.
Right.
So, what about you? What do you think we've grown as entrepreneurs?
So yes, definitely the calendar planning, that we definitely got better at that. I think we both are we're growing in our strengths as well as our weaknesses. So I know a weakness of mine was networking. Like, I know for me, like,
I agree with that.
I'm not standoffish, but I'm very reserved. And I'm very reserved. I observe people, but when we were, based on the network we had and already built, the friends, the books we've read, the podcasts we've listened to, I just learned how to activate that stuff. I learned how to take what I was reading, and whatever habit I want to build, I'll say, okay, let me focus on this one habit that I'm learning in this book. And regardless of however many habits there was that I need to change, this habit, I'm gonna focus on this one. And once I get to a point to where I'm mastering it, then I can go to that next habit. So I think for me, networking was a weakness of mine. So my thing was to go out and start shaking hands, start learning how to communicate and speak to people. Just saying, hey, how you doing? My name is, and going from there, because you never know who you can meet. And with me and us having the vision we were having, we can't build all that alone. We're going to have to network. We're going to have to build, connect the dots with certain things. So, and I understood that I need to get better at learning how to communicate in a room. So I've become more outgoing. I'm still reserved, but I know when to turn it on and when to turn it off. So I feel like, me personally, I've grown in the networking aspect, because she has the network. See, me, I've had friends and people come and go, but she does this. So I've learned from her, as well as the books I've read and the podcasts I listen to.
I agree with that. Strengthening our weaknesses.
And I can give some book recommendations. I know, like, one of my favorites is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Like, that was one of my favorite books. I think that book opened or broke the chains on how I network with people.
And another one that has came highly recommended to us is Entrepreneurial Roller Coaster.
But I can shoot out books all day about communication and leadership, networking, all that.
And a podcast recommendation.
A podcast,
School of Greatness.
School of Greatness. Yeah, that's a good one. But I think any of John Maxwell's podcast would definitely like put you in a better position than you were when you first listened to it. I think I learned a lot from John Maxwell for real. But yeah, so I think that's where we've grown. I feel like we've grown our weaknesses and our strengths as we were continuing to build businesses. And
But
yeah. But thank you guys for your time.
thank you for joining us.